Welcome back to Zuko Builds. If you guys follow me on Instagram, which you should be doing, you know that I partnered up with Brandon the Plant Guy. We're doing a collaboration. He sells beautiful plants, not pants, although he probably sells pants too. Beautiful plants and pots, and I'm making a bunch of plant stands for him. It's these little guys. Just this, not making these. I don't do ceramics. Super easy, super simple. We're making about 30 of them though. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. If you're just building one, it takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes, but we got to multiply that by 30. So a lot of work to do. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, for this project, I'm making 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch plant stands. There will be 10 of each. To mark out the crosstab joints that we'll be using, we have to mark out the center of each board first, and we'll go ahead and add a quarter to either side to give us 3/4 inch total. That's because we're working with 3/4 inch material. Obviously, that'll change depending on whatever thickness you're working with. Now I'm placing the board that's going to be joined to this bottom piece here, and just placing that in the center of that mark we just made. I start with just a small mark on either side, and then I'll go ahead and carry that through with the straight edge to make sure that it's nice and straight. Now let's find the center of the board widthways, and this will be the depth of our cuts. Once I have that marked out, I'll go ahead and take my combination square, set it to that mark. That way, I can always have that for reference. I'm going to set a depth stop on my miter saw, which I'll be using to cut these out, but in case anything gets misaligned, I have this combo square to reference off of. Now with everything marked out, I'm setting my depth stop on my miter saw here. If you don't know how to do this with your miter saw, or if you don't know how to cut crosstab joints on your miter saw, check out the video on the top right for my Quick Tip Tuesday on how to make these cuts with just a miter saw. For this specific order, I had 180 cuts total that I needed to cut, so I'll go ahead and show you guys each step for just one build. I'm not going to show you myself cutting all 180, that's a little ridiculous, but if you guys have any questions on what I'm doing, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. Before moving on to the next piece, I'm just making sure that this was cut properly, and you know that with it being a nice and snug fit. Now let's go ahead and mark out our second piece. I'm just using this combo square as reference, making sure that I did in fact cut how deep I wanted to cut. For the width, I'm just taking a marking gauge and setting it to each side of either wall, making sure that it's even on both sides. This is going to make sure that your cuts are nice and centered. With everything matched up, let's go ahead and cut this second piece out. And you should start stacking them up like this, at least until they tip over. I know you guys probably aren't building 30 of these, but just wanted to show you what it looks like so far. Now, I have to cut out 120 legs, and I found that a 1x4 gives me the perfect width for 4 legs. So I'll go ahead and take this over to the table saw and do all my ripping there. If you guys are new to working with your table saw, please check out my Quick Tip Tuesday on basic table saw safety. I go over some super basic safety just to get you guys started on making your first cuts, so please go check it out. I've never had to cut 120 of anything. That was a lot. Plus the 60 actual bases. Woo! Alright, let's sand everything. This is what it all looks like so far. I've never made this many cuts, and honestly, it was super tedious. All right, I really didn't know how I was gonna go about sanding all of these little pieces. It's times like this where I wish I had a belt sander, just pop it on. I think the best solution is just to keep this in my lap like this, kind of use it as if it was a belt sander. So let's go ahead and try that. Might have to sand it by hand. Okay, we got this. So using my orbital sander, it just kept shooting the workpiece out of my hands, so I'm taking it over to my workbench and just sanding it by hand here. It's gonna take a lot longer, but I think it's a better option. If you guys have any better solutions on sanding these smaller pieces without a belt sander, since I don't have one, please let me know down in the comments below. It'll help me a lot in the future. After all that sanding, let's go ahead and start the assembly. I'm just using some wood glue in the joint, and I'll pop a brad nail in there just for extra security. And for this glue up, you want to make sure you have glue on the bottom of the joint as well as the sides. This will make sure that it bonds as strong as possible. Now let's go ahead and start on the legs. I'm just taking a scrap piece of wood here and pouring a good amount of wood glue on it. That way I don't have to grab the bottle for each joint. And I'm using 2 pieces of 3/4 inch material as a spacer, just so everything is nice and consistent. I'll go ahead and take a little bit of wood glue on each joint here and press the leg up against that joint, and I'll pop a couple brad nails in there. We'll eventually add screws. This is just to hold it into place so I can keep working. Then it's just rinse and repeat for the remaining 3 sides. The cool thing about these stands is you can use it either way. So you can have it how I have it on this table here, and that'll get your plant just a little bit lower to the ground, or you can flip it over and that'll bring your plant up closer to the sunshine. After we've checked to make sure there's no wobble in the stand, let's go ahead and drill some pilot holes and countersink some screws. You can either leave your hardware showing, which I personally like, but my client wanted these to be covered, so I'm just using some plastic wood filler and covering all those nail and screw holes. Once you fill all those holes, you just finished your first plant stand. Super simple, super beautiful. Hope you guys enjoyed. There you have it, guys. Easy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. This is only 15 of them. I'm gonna do something a little different, and just bear with me. That's 15 of them right there. Let's show you guys. Oh, it's a little dark. There's the other 15. That was a lot of work. I'll break down the numbers for you, I think in the video or maybe right now. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. So I did a little bit of the math, and that was a total of 180 cuts. That was 60 cuts for the base, which are the 2 half lap or cross half joints, and 120 cuts for the legs, 4 for each stand, 30. Multiply that. 120? Yeah, 120. It was a lot of cuts, a lot of work, but you can just make one in a few minutes. Let me know what you guys think. Would you make 30? Or would you stick to 1? I probably won't do 30 again. Unless, Brandon, if you're watching this, I'll do more. I'll do 100 of them if you want. Make it happen. Let's do it. Let's keep them coming. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you guys next week.